They say blood is thicker than water, but what happens when the people closest to you are the ones who cut the deepest? My name is Alice Porter. A few weeks ago, I was a respected site supervisor, standing tall, literally, on top of the world. Then a freak accident dropped me to the ground and peeled back the glossy surface of everything I thought I knew about family. While I was lying broken in a hospital bed, my own sister stole from me, and that was just the beginning. This isn't just a story about betrayal, it's about the price of silence and what happens when you finally choose yourself. The city of Denver buzzed below as the morning sun glinted off steel girders and scaffolding. A drone shot swept through the skyline, descending into the heart of a construction zone. The rhythmic pulse of jackhammers echoed, mingling with the static of walkie-talkies and the groaning of metal under pressure. In the chaos of Eastbrook Development Site, Alice Porter strode confidently through the dust, clipboard in hand, hard hat secure, reflective vest crisp. "Don't skip the tie-ins on level 3, she reminded a worker. That joint looked a little loose yesterday. She was sharp, composed. Her reputation as a top-tier site supervisor was built on vigilance, but then, without warning, a voice cut through the din. "It's tipping!" someone shouted. The world slowed, a metal beam groaned, screws popped like firecrackers. The scaffolding gave way with a terrible shriek, crashing down in a storm of steel and splinters. Alice didn't have time to scream, just a blinding flash, and then nothing. A steady beep echoed. Alice blinked against the harsh fluorescence of St. Andrew's Medical Center. Her body ached, her leg was in a cast, ribs bruised, arms mottled purple and blue. She winced as she tried to shift. "I've always been careful. This isn't how it was supposed to go," she thought bitterly. Reaching for her phone, she checked for messages, but what greeted her was far worse. Bank notifications, one after another. $2,340 at Lux House Boutique. $1,780 at Designer Shoe Warehouse. $3,500 at Elite Spa. More than $10,000 gone. Her stomach dropped. She called the bank, her voice sharp despite the pain. "I've been in the hospital for days. I haven't used that card since before the accident." The rep confirmed her fears. The charges began after her admission. Alarmed, she rummaged through her purse. ID, check. Insurance, check. But the credit card was missing. Someone had taken it. And only a few people had visited. Alice froze. Olivia. She dialed, her sister answered, too sweet. "Hey, how are you feeling?" "Did you spend 10 grand with my credit card?" Alice snapped. A pause. Then a breathy laugh. "You have insurance. I needed clothes for interviews." Silence. The kind that cut deeper than steel. As sat motionless, betrayal flooding every nerve, her jaw clenched, eyes glassy. Tears welled, but she refused to let them fall. The only sound was the heart monitor beside her as the screen slowly faded to black. Shungtu stolen lines. Sarah showed up the next day with soup and a tired smile. She sat beside Alice's bed, chatting softly as she helped adjust pillows and handed over Alice's phone. "Want to check Instagram?" she offered gently. Alice hesitated, then opened the app, and what she saw made her breath hitch. Olivia, 12 posts in 2 days, evening gowns, designer handbags, oversized sunglasses, 5-inch heels. In one, she held a champagne glass aloft in a boutique dressing room. Caption, "Retail therapy, I deserve this." Alice's fingers clenched around the blanket. The betrayal had a face now, and it was smirking behind a filter. She called her mother. "Mom, Olivia stole my credit card, over $10,000. Diane's voice didn't even falter. "She needed the money, honey. You make good money. Don't be dramatic." "She's my sister. We help each other." Alice's mouth opened, but no words came. The casual cruelty of it all felt like a punch to the gut. Sarah returned with a warm cloth for her forehead. "Don't let them pull you under," she said softly. Alice looked at her. "I'm used to swallowing things, but this might choke me." Later that evening, Dr. Reese came in, clipboard in hand. He glanced at her vitals and frowned. Your blood pressure's through the roof. I'm going to have to take this, he said, gently removing her phone. You need rest, not more stress. Alice didn't protest. She didn't have the strength. At dawn the next morning, the door slammed open. Diane stormed in, fury etched on every wrinkle. You threatened your sister with the police. Alice struggled to sit upright. Mum, she stole from me while I was unconscious. You'd ruin her life over a few dollars? She stole over 10,000. You press charges and I'll stop calling you my daughter. Silence fell heavy after her mother's departure. Alice stared at the ceiling, the tears no longer coming. They'd dried up somewhere between love and loyalty. She lay there, hollowed out by disbelief, her world now reduced to pain, plastic tubes, and the sound of her heart beating completely alone. The hospital room was quieter now. No more angry visits, no more confrontations, just the steady hum of machines and the distant buzz of nurses outside. Sarah sat at Alice's side, handing her a glass of water. You need a lawyer, she said gently, eyes full of concern. Alice nodded slowly, her expression resolute. Later that afternoon, Alice called Ryan Spencer, a professional, firm-voiced attorney recommended by a colleague. He arrived at the hospital with a calm demeanor and a briefcase full of paperwork. Without hesitation, Alice signed the power of attorney, her hand trembling only slightly. The decision was made. But the moment her name hit the police report, the floodgates opened. Her phone, returned briefly by Dr. Reese, exploded with messages. From her mother, "You're tearing this family apart." From her father, "Don't do this to your sister." And from Olivia, "You've always hated me. Is this what you wanted? Happy now?" Each word dug deeper than the last. She stared at the screen, numb. Then she pressed the call button. When Nurse Carla Simmons entered, Alice looked up with the kind of calm that only comes after breaking. "I need peace," she whispered. "Please don't let them visit anymore." That evening her phone rang again, but this time it was a voice she hadn't heard in years. "Hi, sweetheart, it's Aunt Meredith. I just found out what's been happening from Emily. I want you to know I'm on your side. I'm so sorry." Alice didn't speak right away. Tears gathered in her eyes, not from grief this time, but from the simple relief of being believed. A few days later, Ryan returned. "Olivia confessed," he said, setting documents on her tray table. "She's agreed to a plea deal, suspended sentence, full repayment." The next morning, $10,000 landed in Alice's account. No apology, no remorse, just a sterile transaction. That night, the moonlight spilled through the blinds, tracing faint shadows across her face. She sat upright in bed, alone with her thoughts. The screen of her phone lit up again, but she ignored it. In the quiet, her own voice echoed. "I stood up for myself, so why does it still feel like I lost everything?" 214, the office visit. Sunlight filtered through the leaves as Alice stepped out of St. Andrew's Medical Center. Each crutch-assisted step was slow but determined. Her body was sore, but her spine was straight. Sarah opened the car door, steadying her friend. "Text me if you need anything," she said softly, "though I know you probably won't." Alice offered a faint smile. "I just need some quiet, to remember who I am." Back at Lincoln Park Residences, her apartment felt unfamiliar. Too clean, too still, but there was comfort in the stillness. Control. Order. The following week, Alice returned to work. At Summit Construction HQ, colleagues greeted her with tight smiles and side glances, supportive but cautious. The lawsuit had made its rounds. She sat at her desk, opened a set of blueprints, and let her fingers trace the lines of steel and structure. "I can't control my family," she thought, "but I can control this, I can build this." She was deep in concentration when her desk phone rang. "Alice, there's a woman here, Diane Porter. She says she's your mother." Alice closed her eyes. The familiar wave of fatigue crept in, but she straightened her shoulders. "Send her up." Moments later, Diane entered, smaller somehow, as if life had shrunk her. Her usually polished hair was streaked with grey and exhaustion clung to her face. She didn't sit. You haven't answered my calls, Diane began, her tone carefully measured. I didn't know what else to do. Alice's voice was calm but resolute, maybe because you never listened when I needed you to. Diane's jaw clenched. We're a family, Alice. Alice didn't blink. Families don't steal from each other. Families don't guilt the victims into silence. Diane's voice cracked. I don't know if I can be who you need me to be. Alice replied slowly and with finality. I don't need you to be perfect, I just needed you to admit you were wrong. There was no rebuttal, no apology, just silence. Diane turned and left without another word. Alice sat back down. The office was brighter now. Not the lights, but something inside her. Maybe they'll never change, she thought. But I already have. The light inside the rehab center was soft, warm, almost hopeful. Alice stood between two parallel bars, her left leg still weak, but more stable than it had been in weeks. The physical therapist offered gentle encouragement. One more step, Alice. You got this. She nodded, focused, and took another slow stride forward. It wasn't perfect, but it was hers. When she looked up, she smiled. Subtle, small, but real. The first time since the fall. Back at home, she sat at her desk, staring at a blank email. Then she began to type. Mum, I need space. When I'm ready to talk, I will, but not now. She hovered over the send button, then clicked without hesitation. Her phone buzzed a minute later, a text from her father. Call your mother, she's upset. Alice didn't reply. Later that night, Sarah sent her a message. Thought you'd want to see this, with a link attached. It was Olivia's new Instagram account, now locked, but the bio read, starting fresh. The most recent post showed Olivia at a restaurant in Cincinnati, wearing a plain black blouse and an apron. Her smile looked forced, her eyes heavy. There were no designer bags, no filters, no hashtags about shopping sprees. The next day, Alice received an unexpected call from Aunt Meredith. Your parents weren't invited to Sunday dinner, she said. The family's tired of pretending nothing happened. Alice exhaled slowly. I don't need them to defend me, she said. I just need someone to understand me. Meredith paused. I do. That evening, golden sunlight filled the hallway outside Alice's apartment. She walked its length without crutches, each step slow but deliberate. The cello in the background swelled gently, wrapping her in something fragile, something new. She reached the window, the world bathed in soft amber glow. Every step hurts a little, her voice whispered in a quiet voiceover. But every step takes me closer to freedom. Chung 6, my terms. A soft knock came at the door just after noon. A flower delivery. Alice opened it to find a neat bouquet of white lilies and eucalyptus stems. The card tucked inside read simply, Thinking of you, love, Mum and Dad. She placed it on the kitchen shelf without a second glance. Her phone rang moments later. Mum calling. She let it ring, then silenced it. That evening, Sarah stopped by. Come on, the weather's too perfect to waste. Let's get some fresh air and carbs. Alice smiled and followed her out the door. They sat at a cozy bistro patio close to the park, plates full of pasta and wine glasses catching the last of the sunlight. Sarah talked about her new manager, a work disaster involving too much glitter, and the weirdly handsome guy at the coffee shop who always ordered 3 espressos. Alice laughed. Actually laughed, and the weight on her chest eased a little more. Later that night, at home, she opened her laptop. An email from Ryan Spencer sat at the top of her inbox. Subject: Case closure. Olivia has completed repayment. Her plea deal has been finalized. No further action is required. Alice leaned back in her chair, eyes closed. Not joy, not revenge, just peace. She breathed deeply. The next morning, she laced her sneakers and walked the autumn trail alone. Leaves drifted from trees, the air was crisp with the scent of fall. She paused on the wooden bridge that stretched over the creek. Her phone buzzed, a message from her mother. If you're willing, I'm here to listen. Alice typed back, maybe one day, when I'm truly ready. She slipped her phone into her pocket, the camera pulled back as she stepped forward, her silhouette framed by golden leaves and morning sun. I don't need them to understand me, her voice echoed gently. I just need to be at peace with myself, and for the first time in my life, I'm starting to live on my own terms. Sometimes the hardest battles we fight aren't against others, but within ourselves. Learning to walk away from what breaks you, even when it wears the face of love, takes courage. Healing isn't loud, it's quiet choices, firm boundaries, and the grace to begin again. In the end, peace isn't something you're given, it's something you claim. If this story moved you, sparked a thought, or echoed something you've lived through, we love to hear your voice. Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow for more stories that dig deep and speak truth.